Speaking of this, I don't know if you know it, but she lost her husband. Her husband had a heart attack, so she went back to California, which from New Zealand, which is nuts. And then she came back, and then her husband passed away, so then she left. So the end gun, when she's running around with the gun at the end, they didn't think she was going to come back, obviously, because they knew how tough it was. So that's why a lot of those scenes had to be fixed at the end with her running around with the gun.
Yeah, but I remember him saying, I didn't see that part, but I remember him saying that was supposed to be more elaborate.
Yeah.
Because there were supposed to be scenes of them having fun, and if you just lost your husband, that would be really rough to be, like sitting there pretending to have fun with somebody who's like supposed to be the love of your life. And it's like,
yeah. And she came back though, which is pretty cool. And she said the crew was just amazing to her, and she brought her kid back. And then the kid became the set mascot. Okay. And they built rigs for him. Like the kid just got spoiled on set. And she said she's never witnessed anything. She said the New Zealand people are the coolest. And Jeffrey Combs said it too. He's like, I love it. And for his character, I think he's probably the fan favorite, Milton Dammers. Do you know his story about Hitler? Yeah. He just went through a New Zealand bookstore, showed a picture of Hitler to Peter Jackson.
He's like, I want that haircut.
And Peter Jackson went, okay. And he's like, what?
And he also put prosthetics behind his ears to make him stand out more.
Yeah, and just his over-the-top performance, the way he wants to barf.
Oh, yeah. Every time a woman speaks up for themselves, he's like, he becomes violently ill. He's like, I can't handle women getting angry at me. It's like...
And then Peter Jackson said that since he did so many years with the Manson family and death cults and every cult you could imagine,
be bonkers, yeah.
She said there's probably something wrong with his butt. So that's why he keeps sitting. That's why he doesn't like to sit down. And that's why he has that tube. You think he's going to pull out a gun, but it's a little cushion that he sits on. Because Peter Jackson just figured in the line of duty something happened to his butt. Like, that's what Peter Jackson
That makes a lot of sense, because doesn't he say that he spent 3 years with a sex cult?
Yeah.
And he was their slave, sex slave for 3 years. It's like, I would imagine you'd have some permanent damage.
Yeah, so I just think that's pretty interesting that Peter Jackson's making an expensive studio picture. And one of the motivations, the guy gets an Adolf Hitler haircut, and he has a tube that he has to sit on because sitting is uncomfortable for him.
And that tube was apparently, they had a real hemorrhoid pillow, but it was too big, and he said you wouldn't be able to carry that around with you wherever you went. So they found an inner tube from a wheelbarrow tire. And that's what that was. So
it was probably a government issued tube for him. And I also like that when they showed him the designs for all this stuff on his chest.
He came up with a lot of those designs.
He said a tic-tac-toe. He said he wanted to do a half-finished tic-tac-toe game because the cults just mess with his body. Ugh. So this guy, when I first watched this movie when I was 14, witnessing Milton Dammers, that was a next level performance when you're 14. You were what, 12, 11? I guess.
Yeah, I was 12. I think I saw this whenever I didn't see it in theaters. We saw it years later when it was available to rent.
Got it. And I was like, this movie's next level, because I hadn't seen a movie with his sensibilities, Peter Jackson's sensibilities. I had watched obviously Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy and all that and all these ghosts, poltergeists, but I wasn't ready. I was 14. I'd seen Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
And Natural Born Killers.
And, oh gosh, Duncan. I bought that used at a Blockbuster Video, and the guy smiled at me and sold it to a very young me. Evil. So this movie though, the sensibilities just felt very different to me. Just when the ghost died and the woman running around with a gun at the end and then slicing heads in there and killings. And there was this weird sense of heaven and hell and murder and a weird vibe that plays with humor. And that judge is having sex with a mummy corpse.
Yeah, I like it when they don't move or they lie still.
So this movie flummoxed me as a 14-year-old kid. I don't know, what reaction did you have?
I don't remember when I first saw this. I just remember thinking that I think I saw this when I was 15 or 16, and I didn't think much of it. When I first saw it, but then years later I watched it again, and I eventually bought it. But I started liking it more as I got older, because I would whenever I was a teenager, I liked more the indie films.
Got it.
So to me, this was a big budget film, and it was, but I mean,
17 million, I think the budget.
I read 30, but they
yep.
made 12 million on it. So it was ugh, that's a heck of a tank.
I mean, it opened against another huge movie, Independence Day.
Oh yeah, there's no way. That's ridiculous. Why would that? That's even stupider. I almost want to get into a time machine and be like, why do you want to put this up against? There's no, without any doubt in anyone's mind, Independence Day was going to be the biggest thing ever. I mean, we saw that in theaters, I think 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. I feel bad for dates that went to Frighteners thinking they were going to watch it summer. Hey, there's a ghost. Michael J. Fox is a shiesty con man with ghosts. Let's go see it.
Okay, so which one would you rather? What would you rather have been? The guy who takes his girlfriend to go see the Frighteners, or the guy that takes his girlfriend to go see Candyman?
I would say
second date.
I would say Candyman.
Candyman?
Yeah.
Second date?
Because Frighteners, you leave Candyman. It's kind of a cool character. It's a whole mythos. It's based on that. But you leave
burned alive.
Yeah, but that's more of a straight horror, I think. Just Candyman, like that. It's more straight horror.
So
but this
Frighteners is more of a curveball. It kind of would leave you warped.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so is Candyman. That's not what you expect. But I think Candyman, I would do that instead of because Frighteners is a curve. Frighteners is like a curveball.
That was like a Yokonomo. That's a throwback.
It's like a Charlie Sheen from Major League. Just a bit outside. So this movie though, it starts as a comedy, then people just start dying. And
it's written very much like a. It was originally supposed to be a Tales from the Crypt episode.
Yep. Zemeckis,
Robert Zemeckis, who was produced by who didn't produce Tales from the Crypt, but he originally wanted this to be a Tales from the Crypt episode. But he felt that it had so much ground that they could actually make it into a feature-length film, which I think it's good for them, because if it was a Tales from the Crypt episode, I think that they probably would have tried to cram too much into it. But, I mean, it has that great lighthearted, kind of like dark light heart. I don't know how you would put that, humor that Tales from the Crypt has. Because Tales from the Crypt does have that, like we talked about with Demon Knight, where he spits on the demon. Whoa, I hate that, you know? It's just like things like that. And that's what this movie has. And it also has very serious horror. People getting killed left and right.
Dammers gets his head blown off.
Yeah, that was they shot two different versions of that. One for like when it was originally when they had a PG-13, he gets shot in the chest and falls through the door. And if you see this on TV, that's what they show. But
oh, really?
That's the version. That was one of the first. I remember seeing that, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't his head supposed to get blown off? And then the version we see now on DVD is his head gets blown off and it instantly becomes a ghost, which is a really great shot. Yeah, I love that one.
I mean, it starts so it's interesting, the curveball, because you think he's just hunting death, and that could be a fun race against the clock movie where they're trying to get the next number. But then it turns out to be Johnny Bartlett, this
the guy who killed this mass killer from the 60s is actually now targeting everybody. All these years later.
It's interesting in the commentary, and the first scene with the wallpaper man, I thought that was amazing in 96.
I love that shot too. And that was going to be my one lead in. It was like, and here's Mark Hoffmeyer, the guy who used his double barrel shotgun to shoot a hole through his
carpet.
It was carpet.
But they were playing a game in the beginning. Peter Jackson's like the red herring when you have Dee Wallace and, I guess as we learn later, it's Jake Busey. They're playing a game throughout the house. So, I mean, that's a big time red herring. But they're jerks because that game is destroying the house. Prints fall down. A carpet gets blown up with a shotgun.
Mom from E.T. has to shoot the ghost.
Yeah, Dee Wallace's mom.
Is that the mom from E.T.?
No, Dee Wallace is the mom. The young girl. You know what's interesting too?
My brain's like all over the place.
You know what I loved in the Texas Frightmare commentary? So when you see her throughout the movie, she looks a little older. But at the end, when she's hunting down Michael J. Fox and Trini Alvarado, she looks younger because she said she's kind of, it's flowing.
It's like
again.
She's becoming like a young girl.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so you saw like her outfit and everything, like the dress and the way she slides. So they purposely made her younger throughout because she was revitalized with the kill.
Oh,
isn't that awesome?
That's a good touch. Yeah. I didn't think of that.
I just got goosebumps. I'm dropping facts, I gave myself goosebumps with the fact that someone else said on a podcast during a Texas Frightmare weekend in 2012. But I don't know. That's what the level of this movie was.
That's a lot of attention. I love that.
And also, I just really liked that beginning chase scene. I loved the jerky damage to the house. I just like how they set up this really weird vibe.
And you think the jig would be up though once they have to repair all these things? Like their carpenter has got to be like, guys,
wallpaper man.
Stop. Wow, I'm aware your boyfriend is a ghost and he's coming back, and y'all had this weird thing that you used to do, but for the love of God,
can't you go up to the sanitarium and do that?
You know that there's a haunted there's an abandoned school around the corner.
Play your games there. Well, there's no wallpaper. Find some. I don't know.
God. I hate this house.
I gotta get a new runner. I just hung that painting last week.
First off, I want you to know, I know who did it. I don't know why. What happened to my smart tool?
Yeah.
You know how much those things cost?
I mean, the wallpaper stretched.
Yeah, cough it up there, number 19.
Case number 19.
Case 19.
All right, so listen to our Valley Girl. I'll release that one first, so we'll do Valley Girl. So yeah, I mean, they're running around like they're just ruining the house. Bunch of jerks. But I love that intro.
I'd be so pissed if I was the mom, to be honest with you.
Oh,
I'd be so angry. I'd be like, oh my God.
But that mom said I could send her to the sanitarium at any
do you
time.
know who
You
she
should.
Is? Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be a threat. That would just be like, I'd grab her, throw her in the car, be like, ha ha ha, I'm going to go live my life now.
Yeah, you wrecked my carpet for the last time.
That'd be great.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. But I also love what that leads into is so we learn about the town of Fairwater. And I love our introduction to Michael J. Fox because he shows up at the funeral and then they push him away. But I love how he just takes his business cards and throws them. I mean, that's cool. And then I like, his driving down the hill. That's kind of crazy in his car. But I love how we get introduced to what kind of moves the movie forward, how he meets Ray Linsky and Lucy Linsky when he drives in their lawn and crushes their fence.
Yeah, I love how he, it's very obvious that the guy who plays
Ray?
Yeah, very obvious, loves Elvis Presley. I mean, he's wearing the Jailhouse Rock shirt throughout the entire movie.
He was... Do you want to hear something?
He played Elvis.
In Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had Elvis in his room.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
They had the floating Elvis.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I like how you did that. And it's very obvious. He looks just like Elvis, too.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like, Chris Kelly's going to love this. But what makes me so mad is I love lawn gnomes. And when Michael J. Fox targets that lawn gnome, when he's driving out, I got so pissed.
Did you listen to the commentary of that scene?
Oh, because
he says, he's like, I don't think they call them lawn gnomes in America. They're called garden somethings. Yeah. And I was like, what? No, we call them lawn gnomes.
Yeah, they're called garden cherubs.
Like garden ghouls.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, I was like, no, I got a lawn gnome in my backyard. They protect my backyard. But yeah, I hated how he crushed that thing. But I don't know. I liked Michael J. Fox in this movie. I liked how committed he was. I liked the physicality of it. He actually really hurt his ankle.
Yeah, the scene at the end where he's like, I think, running towards the journalist, and his foot goes into a hole and twisted it and actually wound up breaking a few spots.
And so, I mean...
And then you see him running through the woods, and you can obviously tell something happened to his leg because he's stumbling as he's running. But
dude's a trooper. And he was flying back during this time, he was flying to L.A. to California because he was getting treatments. So he hadn't told anybody yet, but, with his disease, he just learned about it. So this guy is in New Zealand, away from his family, messing up his ankle, getting rained on a lot.
But then he has to fly from back and forth because of his Parkinson's.
Yeah. And Jeffrey Combs was like, how do you do this? And
he's like, did you read about how I did Back to the Future? Yeah.
But I don't know. I like the physicality of Michael J. Fox's role. And I think
he puts a lot of heart into it.
You talk about acting with nothing. He acted with nothing in this movie. And I like the scene where, Ray eventually becomes a ghost because he gets his heart crushed. With the great scene, what's with the number? But I like when he walks through Michael J. Fox, and Michael J. Fox is at Shudder.
Yeah.
Like, he added all that into this film. And
it makes sense.
Yeah.
I love how, like, even when, the scene where when he's in his kitchen, and he reaches through, what's his name, Fife?
Yeah, Fife.
He grabs the bug spray, and he can't, like, get through him because he's like, ugh.
Because the older they get, right? The older the ghosts get, the more they can move. Because Ray, when he became a ghost... Which I do love that. Let's talk about that scene where Cyrus and Stuart mess with Ray and Lucy's house.
Oh, I love that scene that he walks in. He's like, the kitchen table is turning counterclockwise, right? And she's like, no. The toilet seat was banging up and down, right? No. He's like, the bed was levitating. Yes. And then like they cut to like afterwards. He's like, you didn't even do the thing with the toilet. You're making me look like an asshole.
But I loved that, and he pulls out the gun with the holy water.
Yeah.
That's a good bit. And I liked when he collects the demons in that stupid bag and he puts it down the garbage disposal.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, I thought that was so ridiculous because it's like, he's like, when he hands it to them, he says, some people like to have a memento. He's like, no. He's like, then he puts it in the garbage disposal. It's okay. They can't feel it.
Now, those Lucy and Ray in this movie, their house. All right. So, in a lot of horror movies, you hear a door open or you hear...
creaking,
a creak, or you see an orb when you take a photo because there's a lot of dust in the area. But they take this they know there's ghosts now. They handle it pretty well. I mean, their house was poltergeisted.
I gotta say, Ray, he